Welcome back to Ego Health. Today I want to share with you one of the most important staples that I use in my wellness program, and that is homemade chicken broth. Chicken broth is extremely... What you're going to start with when you make the chicken broth is I have a whole chicken fryer, and I'm just going to stick this in a full stock pot of water. You can also add chicken backs and chicken necks for extra gelatin and extra nutrition. Next thing you're going to add is you're going to do carrots. You're going to add some chopped carrots. And as I said, the vegetables provide the extra electrolytes in here for you. You're also going to add celery. And you're going to add onion. And you want to actually add the skin with the onion, and this is going to actually provide it the really dark, rich color once you're done with the chicken broth. So we just quarter it. And you're also going to add some parsley. And I add a few cloves of garlic. And I pretty much just add them as a whole clove. And then you're going to put your stock on about medium. And you're going to bring it not quite to a boil, you're going to bring it where it just starts to boil a little bit. The stock pot is very full, and you're going to get a lot of broth out of this. The one thing I really want you to know is that put the boxed chicken broth away. This is so healthy for the family and so easy to do. Throw out the boxes, throw out the cans of chicken broth. This doesn't take a lot of time. You saw me, that just took about 5 minutes to throw everything in there. And honestly, you get 10 quarts out of this, and it's going to boil for about 8 to 12 hours. So once it simmers, there's going to be a little bit of a layer of foam that comes on the top of this, and I'll show you once it starts to do that. We'll come back and we will be skimming all of that impurities. Basically, it's the impurities that come to the top of the broth, and we're going to skim that off. Once we do that, we're going to put the lid on, and we're just going to have it simmer for about 8 to 12 hours. So it's been about a half hour that the broth has been simmering, and you can see it's not quite to a boil, but you see just a little bit of those bubbles in the broth. And you can also see the foam that's on top of the broth. Those are actually the impurities from the chicken, and we're going to scrape those off. That's actually not something you want to keep in the soup, so you want to make sure that you skim all that stuff off the top. What we're going to do is we are going to add 1 tablespoon of vinegar. And the reason you're going to use the vinegar is because it helps to pull out the minerals out of the chicken. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of bovine gelatin. And what this does is, you don't have to add this in. I add this in as extra for joints and gelatin, just extra gelatin into the chicken. Again, you don't have to add that. This is just something extra nutritional that I put into the broth. And then I add just a little bit of Celtic sea salt. Not very much, because you don't really want to have the chicken broth too salty. You can always add that later into your broth when you're cooking. Okay, so it's been 12 hours and the soup should be nice and rich. And what you're going to do next is you're going to just kind of stir it up a little bit. And you can see that you got a nice, clear, nutrient-rich broth that you can use in a lot of different recipes. All right, so what you're going to do next is you're going to take it. I actually have this kind of contraption made up here. I have a bowl and a colander on top of it, and I actually use this one because this one is a very fine colander, and it takes away all the extra impurities or whatever that might be in the chicken. So what you're going to do is you're going to start pouring the broth right into here. Okay. You are going to have a very rich chicken stock. And what you're going to do is, I have a bunch of containers right here all set up and ready to go for storing. And what you're going to do, just fill them up And you can see how really rich and dark the chicken broth is, and this is so much better than canned or boxed. What I do is I actually keep the carrots in some of the liters or some of the quarts. So I actually stick the carrots in. Actually filled all of these containers up with the chicken broth, and what you're going to have left after you drained all of the chicken stock out of the pot is you're going to have all the leftover vegetables and chicken. So you can see for me, I used an entire chicken fryer this time. So there's a full breast of chicken that's on this, that's in this bowl. So I'm going to take all of the beautiful white meat and I'm going to add it to probably half of these containers so that I have some quick meals. Okay, so that's how simple it is to make chicken broth. What I'd love for you to visit us on our Facebook page. Just search for Ego Health and like us, and in the next couple weeks we'll have a website up and running. Thanks.